Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Around the Emirates podcast with Sara Mousa, where I speak to guests from across the UAE about topics you want to hear about. Today, I'm joined by the incredible Alysha Clements. Hi, Alysha.
Hi.
Oh, you're so cute. So I invited Alysha to be on the show because she is a head of secondary sports and PhD at the Swiss International Scientific School in Dubai. She is an incredible athlete. Please, Alysha, tell me your story.
So I am originally Canadian. I grew up in Canada, but both my parents are immigrants. My mom's Polish and my dad, they moved to Canada when my mom used to move to Canada when she was young. And my dad is actually an ex-semi-pro rugby player, and he met my mom on a rugby tour in Canada. He was playing a team, and he was looking through a picture book, and he said, "I want to meet her," of one of the guys who was on the team they were playing against that day. They had a party later on, and he set them up on a blind date. And then 6 weeks later, my dad moved to Canada for my mom. So, no, sweet story, right? So, yeah, so my dad's British, my mom's Polish, and I'm Canadian. And growing up, I'm a lot older than I look. But growing up in the 80s, my dad was very much wanting me to be an athlete, not pushing me, but wanting me. But I very much picked up on that. So I started playing football at the age of 3. But back in those days, yeah, 3 years old. But back in those days, you could only play with the boys. So I started playing with the boys at 3. But my mom also wanted me to be a dancer, so she signed me up for dance at 3. But I do not have that physique of a dancer. Never did. So I started playing sports at 3 with football and dance, and continued that my whole life. So in high school, yeah, captain of all the teams, volleyball, basketball, football, danced until I was 15, until my dance teacher told me I have to choose. And I was like, okay, bye. And yeah, but having said that, it's very much helped me with balance, flexibility, vision, everything that dance brings. It's helped me with sports, agility. You wouldn't think so, but it has. It's been a very good motor skill stable for everything I've done. So growing up, knew that I wanted a scholarship to the States because all my friends, we all wanted scholarships to the States. I played at a very high level in Canada. All my friends went to the States. I have a few friends that have bronze and gold medals from the Olympics now. And so went to the States on a full scholarship. And then after I was done in the States playing football on a full scholarship, I moved to the UK to play for Fulham in the Women's Premier League. I also played National League volleyball in the UK and in the UAE. I was captain of the Rio Wildcats in the National League for volleyball, and played a bit in the UAE as well. And right before moving to the UAE before we moved for teaching, I was playing for AFC Wimbledon, and we had just won our league. And I told all the girls we were moving to Dubai while we were on a sponsored trip to Las Vegas. So we're winning our league. So yeah, it's been a busy career. I've got 2 daughters as well in the midst of all that. And my husband is also an international runner. So actually, when I met
Girl.
him at 25, I got faster. He taught me how to run better. So we're a very competitive family.
Wow. Firstly, well done. I mean, understatement of how incredibly accomplished you are and representing women literally all over the world. So that what an amazing achievement to not just do something at like a state level, but you have literally gone worldwide. So kudos to you for balancing, motherhood plus being in a male-dominated sport and doing so well in so many different countries. Well done.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm very stubborn. I have a stubborn mother, so I'm very stubborn. I don't take no for an answer very well. So I think that's been a big driving force.
Well, obviously, somebody who's as accomplished as yourself and as athletic as yourself, and who has, bounced between so many different sports, you must have experienced some challenges to become kind of the teacher that you are today as well.
Yeah, so I'd say I've had 2 really big challenges that have kind of made me think twice about my career. First one was when I first moved to the UK. So I moved to the UK in 2006, right um, out of university. And when you're in the States, you're revered for being an athlete. So as I was the captain of the football team, And 3 of my 4 years at university, I was actually homecoming queen just for being on the football team, right? I know. I love the tiara. But like it was one of those weird things 'cause we don't do that in Canada. And, so it was just something weird to kind of take in. But you see in the movies, the homecoming queen's always like the cheerleader or this or, the pretty prom girl. And so for at my university, it was just they love to nominate athletes. And it was nice, and you were revered for being an athlete. And then moving to the UK, even though I come here every year since I was a kid, I didn't realize the stigma behind women's sports, in particular football. So when I got here, I came over for tryouts in the spring break of my last year of university. And, there was a few things that I just thought, this seems a bit off. But it was when I moved here and the way men viewed women's football was just it was very sexist. So at that time, when I moved, Arsenal ladies, they ended up being European champions that year, and I played against them. And the one game we played against them, this is Kelly Smith, who's a big name. She was the big poster girl of Bend It Like Beckham. And Alex Scott, who's a big name now, she was amazing. These were these girls on these teams, and the max number of people we had when we played against them was 200 people in the stands if we were lucky, and they won the Euros that year. They won the European Championships that year as the Champions League, sorry, that year as well. And so it was so weird to think why aren't more people following this? We at university, everyone came out to the homecoming games. Whenever we had a home game, the whole university was out there as much as possible. So why is this not being followed? And I had an interview with a very well-known sports radio show here in the UK at the end of my first season. And they called me up and they just wanted to know, what was the difference between playing North America and playing here? And I said, just the lack of support from men, just in general for a sport that they absolutely adore. How is this not being pushed? And like I was teaching at a very good private all-girls school at the time. And even then, just getting the girls into football and stuff, it was very grassroots. Any of the one that was really good, I was pushing towards the Chelsea because we were right by the Chelsea training ground. So it was like Chelsea Academy, but even that was just starting, the girls were just getting to that point of being recognized. And I had to use some colorful words on this radio interview because it was becoming so sexist. At one point, again, a very well-known name in football, host, he was saying, I'll take the 5 fattest, oldest guys in this building against your 5 best Fulham players and we'll still beat you. And I was 23. So the language I used probably wasn't the best on air. Luckily, my principal at the time found it funny. But I couldn't hold it in any longer. I'd been on the radio for about half an hour with these guys on the phone. And it was funny because my uncle was sitting there and his face just went bright red, hearing what I had to say. And I couldn't hold back anymore. And they had to issue me an apology on air. But I also said challenge accepted, which never happened. So I think that was the first big thing because it slowly made me start falling out of love with football at that time. I played one more year with Fulham after that, and then I took a 6-month break where I played volleyball again because I couldn't play volleyball at that time because of university. And then I found a team of another friend was playing for, and they're like, just come back and play a few leagues lower and just fall in love. And I did. I fell in love with football again, going back to playing with Tooting and Mitcham, and that reignited the career. So that was the first kind of big obstacle I had to overcome, was just changing my mentality as well, as because it just made me not want to train as hard, or because it wasn't going to make a difference. But then I had to get over that obstacle because I've always been pushed. I've always had encouragement. I've always said, no, you've got to be better because you can be better, not because we don't care about you. And then the next obstacle was when I moved to Dubai. I've had a great career. Moved to Dubai thinking, let's keep going with this. And month 2 of being in Dubai, tore my ACL, MCL, and both meniscus straight off the bone.
Oh
Never really
shit.
never been injured in my career, like 6 weeks max with an ankle injury, and I haven't been able to play football since. But then again, it brought me to nationally back to volleyball as well, so I could concentrate on that. But yeah, those I'd say would be the two biggest obstacles I've faced in my athletic career. I've had teaching the whole time, but it's been in a way, it's helped me relate to the girls I've been teaching in the UK and coaching in the UK because it made me want to coach more. It made me want to take that mentality out of the young girls' minds and say, take that away, you are going to be amazing. So it made me want to coach more and be more involved in girls' sport, not necessarily just for me, but for later generations.
Wow. Firstly, thank you on behalf of all women. Thank you for standing up to that radio host guy. Because, like, what a horrible person to have said something to you and something to someone who's obviously a professional player. You were obviously young. You're not, he obviously completely underestimated your talent and who you are. So, thank you for taking one for the team, pun intended.
Yeah.
And then also, that sounds really painful that you went through that injury. I'm so sorry that you had to go through that, but I guess it helped you focus more on teaching and empowering the women around you.
Well, it did. It's funny because my degree is actually in what's called in the States athletic training. So it's athletic physiotherapy. And it was only me moving to the UK that brought me into teaching. I did think about being a teacher as a young kid, but then I thought, oh, this looks cool. So when I got the injury, I had to switch my pain brain off because no one around me really knew what to do. And I switched my physio brain on. It wasn't until I got to the hospital I was like, oh, this is now painful. So it was a weird thing to do, but it did actually with that injury because it was so bad, I was not allowed to move for 3 weeks. And after the surgery, being in Dubai was unreal for a surgery like that because my friend who I played with at Wimbledon the year before, she tore ACL early doors in our season and she had to wait 6 months, just for the surgery. Whereas I had two specialists seen two plus an MRI and on the surgery table within a week and a half. So that like just being in Dubai was just unbelievable for that experience. But then I really had to think about how I taught and how I got through to people while being in a chair, so to speak. So I actually taught from a chair when I could go back to work for a good 2 months. And it was trying to be effective in how I taught, and it really made me think outside the box. So it actually, in a weird way, made me a better teacher.
Love that. I love that for you.
Yeah.
I feel like you've gone through so much and obviously it's helped you really. I mean, everything happens for a reason and it's really helped you
Yeah.
build your character and who you are today. And I'm just kind of curious, what is one of your more favorite kind of memories or stories in your career?
Oh, I don't my I mean the story I think it's not even part of my career. One of my more favorite stories happened in 2022. It's the Women's Euros final here in England. I was in Canada and I saw how Wembley was filled, just 80,000 people. Wembley, I cried just real tears before the game even started. My aunt was in, we all sat down, we were all wearing our England shirts. We were all sitting by TV in Canada. My aunt had already popped the bottles just because it was a celebration in itself, right? England women are in a final. Two girls I played against are in a final. And the world is actually watching. Like it's not just that crowd of 200 anymore. 80,000 people were in Wembley watching. And then at that point, girls that I'd played, women I'd played with for the 10 years I was living here, all of a sudden messages, because they knew I was in Canada, messages of pictures and tears and hugs and were coming through from my friends and everyone was there. Anyone I'd ever played with or against was in this stadium. And I had another friend, Kirsty, who's now a teacher in LA, and she was actually part of the England setup when she was a teenager. She was under Hope Powell. She's an amazing player, and she was there, and she was telling me that she was hugging strangers because everyone felt the same feeling of joy and overwhelmment of this is actually happening. And I think even though it wasn't part of my career, it felt like it was because it's just like I never thought I'd see that. I never thought I'd see that. And even now, it just makes me feel like, those women have what they've done. Even watching last night, the France England game, and the stadium's filled now and stuff. I'm just like, this is a thing now, and this isn't going to go away. It's just going to get bigger and better. And that, even though it wasn't my specific career, and seeing girls, I've got a girl who I coached when she was 10. She now has a gold medal from the Olympics. They're not specifically my careers, but I feel like I'm part of that journey, So I think for me, I've done a lot of great things. I've got a lot of awards. I was president of my high school. I was athlete of the year of my high school a bunch of times. I have first team all conference from university. I've captain of these teams. But those are the big significant things that I can look back and just be like, this is world changing. And I was that little bit a part of it. And it's going to make my kids, both my daughters' lives, easier to succeed now. Getting very totes emotion.
And this is why I have this podcast, honestly. It's for people like you that come here with this passion, this energy, and this commitment to what you do and to making the world a better place. Even if it's that 1% of someone's chapter, you still made up that 1%. And it really has been a full circle moment for you. If you think back all
Yeah.
your successes, you're not just succeeding for yourself, as you say, it's for your daughters, it's for the people watching this episode, for the women out there that are trying to get into a male dominated sector. What may
Yeah.
be like, whether it's sports or I don't know, finance, law,
Job.
whatever it
Well,
is.
even my job is very much, especially in Dubai, a male dominated job. Head of sport. I know for a fact that I was up against other men mainly for my job. So it is very much a male dominated job. And my husband's also head of PE in Dubai as well, and so I know, but I've always, I've always tried to say, no, I'm not having that because I've always been brought up with saying, no, you're not having that. Both my parents I've got three sisters. It's, very much a feminine household, but at the same time, I've never thought I couldn't do something because I'm a woman. There's never been that thought. It's actually made me want to do that thing more.
I love that.
So it has got me in trouble a few times, because sometimes I don't verbalize, I haven't verbalized it properly, but they listen. So that's what matters.
Here, here. And this takes me to my last question for you today, Alysha. What final message do you want to leave with the listeners today?
There is nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it. For me, like with football, I was always good. Don't get me wrong, I was always good, but I wasn't the best naturally. It wasn't something I naturally could do. And it was my drive and my just pure ambition. Have ambition for yourself, have that goal for yourself. There's a project I did when I was 8. I found not too long ago at my parents' house, and it was past me, present me, future me. So obviously my little baby pictures, and then me at school, and then the next thing was I by 16, I wanted to be captain of all my teams. I wanted to play on the Ontario team. I wanted to do so. These are things I'm ticking off, that I've done. And then it was like I want to go to the States on a scholarship. Done. I wanted to play on the Canadian national team. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't fast enough. Fine. Then it said, but I want to play internationally. Played in the UK. Done. I want to be a teacher. Did it. I'm doing it. And it's all these goals I had for myself from when I was 8 years old. I couldn't, like, I forgot about this project, and I went back and I done them all. Other than playing in the Olympics, I've done them all. And if you have that drive, if you have that mentality of you can do it, then nothing should stop you. The only thing that stops you is yourself. Society won't stop you unless you allow it to. So the only thing stopping you from achieving or accomplishing your goals is you and this.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me today, Alysha. Honestly, you are so incredibly inspirational, and everybody listening to this is going to get up and go kick a football around or go, sign up for that law degree that they have been wanting to do for a while, or just do something that gets them out of the bed and something that fulfills them as a person. So thank you so much.
Oh, no problem at all.
Cool. Have a great day, Alysha. Bye.
Yes, thank you. You too. Bye.